VFD. So you've got what are the VFD IDF targets. Now you get into your indicators when you actually build this collection matrix. That indicator is meant to identify if you can confirm or deny that that specific activity is happening in that location with that specific weapon system. So for here, you've got weapons caches containing mortars, personnel containing reconnaissance, and mortars being smuggled into the AO. So all three of those are general indicators to give you an idea of where they're operating, how they're going to do it, and what they're doing it with. Does that make sense? Then you get to your SIRs. So specifically for that indicator for the caches, if you find the presence of that cache, you want that asset to report to the specific weapon systems. You want them to explain the equipment inside of that cache, and then give their assessment of how it's being utilized. That's where that SIR comes into play. Same with the reconnaissance. So give the actual personnel, if you can get like names, if you can get types, if you can give elements, associations, where they are, that's the specific SIR there. So given that, if you're trying to look for an SIR for that mortar being smuggled into the AO, what's an example of an SIR for that? No, that's fine. So think of it, if you're trying to see that mortar being smuggled into the AO, right? How would you, yeah?
Vehicles being loaded with IDF equipment and driven into the city.
That's perfect.
Right.
And also that goes directly back into yours. When you give that SIR then saying, okay, report this, like a vehicle being loaded or unloaded, what's the size of the round actually being in there? How long are the tubes? So you can get that specific for that SIR for that specific indicator. Those are both perfect and they can work all together. You can also have more than one SIR per indicator.
Work this out together?
You can have, so honestly, I feel like for me, it depends at that point on your asset. So that specific question can be answered by a certain type of asset. So I would say that those could be joined together, yes. But say you had, for one indicator, you want to have specific code names associated with certain movement, right? You wouldn't pair that with the size of a mortar system. That asset really can't, like the different assets can't collect on that same type of SIR. So it will depend on what you're looking for and the asset that can collect on that SIR. Does that make sense? Okay. I know it's confusing. We don't have a lot of practical application with this today, and then when you get into your scenario, we will help you develop this. But generally, your SIRs can stand alone, and it will depend on the asset, like we talked about during the test. So that takes you to your last steps here. So first, you're going to have your start-stop time. So when you think that that SIR is actually going to be of value, is when you want that asset to start looking for that particular SIR. And then you have to think about which assets can physically, or not physically, I guess, collect on that SIR specifically. So like I said, so for a profit, it's going to be more listening for those code names, trying to do that direction finding, understanding that we can like ping radio traffic. But then when you get more into your patrols, or you have more like FMV type things, you're looking for the sizes of rounds. You're looking for the actual mortars mounted in the back of the truck. So if that makes sense. So your SIR to your assets. Yes?
So in defense, I know we talked about the SIR specifically have to be written, and kind of the test said the SIR have to specifically written to the asset capability. So under the personnel conducting possible reconnaissance potential firing position points, my understanding was that the SIR, if you were going to task a profit and shadow, or a profit with it, would be radio communication of personnel conducting reconnaissance.
Absolutely. So
that should be split.
So it can be, yes. So if you wanted to make it that specific, which you should if you're trying to identify especially a profit for that specific SIR, then you can split that within your indicator. That will make things much easier for, so by the way, this is a tasking, not a tasking document,
right,
but it is what you need to give to your collectors to be able to answer these questions. So anything you can do to make their specific SIR more specific to them, it's more indicative of that asset, it is really good for the collector to be able to utilize. So yes, split that SIR if you want to be that specific asset.
So, however, though, make sure that the intent is to write the information requirement and then identify the assets that are capable of collecting it. Does that answer your question? You don't write the information requirement to the asset. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you don't have that capability, you can request that from higher.
But
any other questions here?
those cars are like
DBE we got.
Charlie's.
We get the alphas.
We'll take Alpha over here.
Alright, you
Talk about Alpha.
We'll take Delta.
We'll take Echo.
Echo.
Charlie.
Who's got that?
Who's Delta? Who is Delta?
Alpha's on top.
Who is Bravo?
We have Bravo.
Who has Echo? Who has Alpha?
We have alpha.
Bravo's going one.
Bravo's
At the corner.
Who's Charlotte?
We're Charlotte.
I'd say just focus on PR right now. We don't need to-
Boy.
That's me.
Hey, if you guys are missing one, we have one at no
They
letter.
want to renew mine.
Yeah, focus on people. Focus on the class right now. Thank you.
There you go.
See, they've got a lot of their questions. They're still missing pieces. Those are definitely going to be.
Whoa.
Where's the body?
All right, guys, don't forget your information collection process. What unit are you with right now? What level are you at? Nope. You're at battalion. What can you do to get more information? There you go, right? Who wants to ask some RFIs? Come on up.
So where do you go? Sister battalion.
We're in the middle of San Diego.
Request again? No more requests. Brigade's tapped out.
Jason
No
units.
division. You've already tapped into your decent unit. All right, who's only missing 2 pieces? Maybe 3.
Charlie. We're gonna make our own. All right, get to the table.
Come on, we put this on 5. Alright, we're gonna.
All right, then we're missing 4 pieces? 3 to 4? All right, who can tell me what those are?
Intel
There you go, Intel gas, exactly. All right, go ahead and take seats. Someone be in charge of taking apart your puzzle and putting it back in your bag. Don't worry about So, all right, everybody. Number one, I want to get you guys up and moving. It's Friday morning. We're in uncomfortable outfits. So just to kind of get you a little bit woken up, use sticker test for quiz, get everything moving. Number 2, I love this exercise because it's going to show you kind of what that process looks like and try to identify that information. I'm excited that all of you so quickly figured out the puzzle piece problem. So many times, like, a Tom will get in his own head and be like, what does this A mean? Why is this in here? I'm a D, like, why is this happening? And no one talks to each other. But you know how to do information sharing. So say these for your NAC units, right? You knew to go and call them for additional information. Ask for additional, like, problem sets. Ask for collection. Ask for intel that they may be able to provide you. And you also provided them with information, right? Now say you're a prophet and you're an HCT. You also have information to give those additional units. And your head information you had to build yourselves are going to paint that picture for you as a group. And again, going to brigade, asking them for that additional information. Can they help you with anything else? But really, no matter what, you're going to always have info gaps. You will never know every answer to every question. You have to continue to develop questions, ask for feedback, ask for your follow-on additional issues, right? How do you feel with the exercise? Pretty good? Feel good? All right. So now we're going to go, thank you. So now we're going to go into the information collection overlay. Now to start with, you've got your NAI. The NAI is going to be going on your IC overlay. And NAI, again, in stability, looks very different than it did in offense and defense. In offense and defense, it's going to be very large, potentially multiple kilometers, to look for battle positions, look for movement, activity, changes in terrain. They will not look like that here. The NAI is allowing you to get that specific look at a specific targeted area to identify whether or not the enemy is operating in that space. And again, use that information collection and that analytical tools you've built to be able to get you there. So this might be what that incident overlay or information collection overlay look like in offense and defense. You have a large map, huge scale, pretty big NAIs, right? When you get into stability, they should look like this. It's going to be a house. It's going to be an intersection. You're going to get a small chunk of an MSR to make sure that you're collecting on that specific information, right? You want to be able to confirm or deny the presence of things. So who can tell me maybe, based on everything that you've kind of built so far, where you want to put some NAIs? Where?
Bridge to demo.
Bridges to demo. Still.
GEP stations,
GP stations, which ones and why?
the ones that haven't been hit yet, and it would be substations, not main stations, because that's what they've been targeting.
Okay, Evans?
Checkpoints you think they're gonna hit?
Okay. Do you know where?
Specifically, I think there's one in
Yavaru? Okay, Carl?
With the course of action that I made yesterday, I put it in the Hordoc City Council building.
Okay, Florida City Council building? Carl?
South of Checkpoint 4 in Yavaru, that's where they're probably having a safe house for the Dr. Brothers.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Yes.
Some of those abandoned warehouses where they're seeing a lot of vehicle traffic in the middle of the night, that's actually a resupply point or cache or safe house.
Okay.
Suspected headquarters.
Ooh, how would you make an NAI and suspected headquarters? What would that look like?
Based on the intelligence we have already, we have some buildings that look, like you say, have some activity in that area. And maybe task a few elements to it just to see if there is any, just corroborate the information we've already received.
And so before I go, I want to keep going, but I want to highlight Ward's point here real quick. Again, this house stability looks very different than offense and defense. You can't really go just like searching for a headquarters when you're in offense and defense. They look very easy to find. You know the vehicles they're going to have, you know the tracks they're going to have, the kind of situation doctrine they're going to be setting up, right? In stability, you're kind of guessing, right? You got to pick like 5 houses in a general vicinity that you think they're going to be working in, right? And identify those NAIs in those specific areas and start collecting them to see if you can confirm or deny that headquarters type activity is happening there. Right, pop me up.
Ingress and egress routes around your objective that you feel that they're going to be utilizing based on vehicles you assess for now.
Why would you put one on an ingress and egress route?
Well, I would put it beforehand actually because you want to see that's going to be part of the recon. You're going to see where they're going to take the vehicles and everything. So if you see a car in the same vicinity going up and down different roads around it, that's one way to tell. So they're either trying to scout their way in or way out, where they're going to park.
Excellent. So again, keep that in mind also. You're not just looking for actions on the objective. You're looking for recon. You know that they're going to come and recon that route or that area the day before. So when you build your plan, have that collection effort happening on that NAI when you think the recon's happening, not the actual activity. Shields?
So what Hawkins actually kind of goes into mind, and that's kind of, there's certain areas west of
Hi, for my video recreation, I decided to focus on a bit of instruction that I provided to some lieutenants who are coming through and learning about information collection. In my initial video, I primarily focused on the information collection matrix, And then for my lesson redesign, I tried to implement some new strategies to better engage the students and assess their learning of using the different tools of the information collection process. In my original video, I noticed a few major concerns in terms of how I delivered the material. I am very passionate and a very passionate instructor when it comes to information collection. However, I am aware that it is a dry subject, and I did not do a good enough job engaging the students, assessing their level of understanding first, and then trying to drive the lecture around their engagement and their understanding. Instead, I kind of just talked at them and expected them to follow. So for my lesson redesign, I wanted to more focus on trying to get them up, interacting, moving, talking, and constructing knowledge together, and then using a scaffolding tool to allow them to see what it's supposed to look like and then tell me and give their assessments and allow me to assess their understanding that way. So for the lesson redesign, I started with Piaget's cognitive development theory and social constructivism. Both involve manipulating materials, working together as a group, and trying to solve problems in a social setting. So I used a puzzle, and they had to try to interact together to solve the problem and try to implement their understanding of information collection to do so. So the strengths here were, number one, the students were engaged, they were participating, and they were learning together. Also, I feel like it was a great way for me to assess them and see where they were. But a weakness was that I did not anticipate their lack of understanding and their lack of conceptual knowledge of the scenario and of the information collection process. So instead of letting them kind of learn and develop on their own, I think my lack of preparation caused me to try to step back in as more of a direct instructor from behaviors theory again and be more lecture heavy. And I think that kind of deflated the instruction. However, I could now use that assessment I previously established in the puzzle activity to drive me into the tools, which goes into the next part of the strategy. So I did use scaffolding from sociocultural theory to try to best deliver a tool that the students could use and then walk them through the process and let them kind of fill in the blanks for themselves. And I think it was very effective. I am most proud of how this specific assessment was done. I gave them the tool and then just started to let them answer the questions and give examples as we went through. The tool was effective, and my formative assessment not only was effective in assessing their answering of the learning objective, but it also allowed me to kind of let them drive the discussion and keep themselves engaged. So a lot of strengths there. However, in terms of a weakness, I know that not every single student was engaged. I think that in the future, I would try to use more of a Socratic questioning type approach, where instead of letting the same 10 to 15 students constantly answer the questions, I'd start to pick on those who are trying to hide in the back of the class, or not engage and not try to be coordinating with the rest of the students. Just trying to get every single person engaged, which was one of the major intents of my lesson redesign, which I think I kind of failed to do in terms of assessing every single student's level of understanding. However, in conclusion, I do think that the students 100% met the objective. I felt confident taking them into the practical exercise that they could apply their understanding to the information collection overlay. The students demonstrated an excellent grasp of the material. At least one student per group was able to consistently provide good examples, a solid explanation for their examples, and they demonstrated it later, which you couldn't see in the video just because of the lack of time. But the students I know can take their understanding that they learned from that lecture and apply that to the real world outside and have a very strong understanding of how to do information collection operations in the stability environment.